Salutations, crustaceans. I'm Lobster, and today we are going to be reviewing the Meteora bass from Fender. Let's do this. This is the Meteora bass from Fender. It's one of their latest designs, and we are going to talk all about it, go through all the specs, the quirks and features, and have a good time with it. Now, before we continue, a big thank you to our friend Bully the Kid for providing us this bass for review. I really appreciate it. The Meteora bass has quite a few neat features, but also quite a few disappointments, and we will talk about those now when we go over the specs. The body of the Fender Meteora here is an alder body painted in this gorgeous silver burst, and there are 4 finish options available, and those are paired with either a maple or a
Palfaro
fingerboard, depending on the finish. And contrasting this silver burst is this black pickguard here and 2 Fender Fireball pickups. Now, this is kind of the first disappointment. These are really cool pickups. They're wired in series. But for the price point, which we'll talk about a little bit later, I wish we had more flexibility with these humbuckers. A lot of the competition that has 2 humbuckers often have the ability to switch between like a single coil mode or series parallel, but this bass really gives you neither. And these pickups are also somewhat reminiscent of the Fender Roscoe Beck pickups from the 90s and 2000s. Those are really neat basses, and you had some really cool pickup switching options with those. With these, you really don't have anything other than a blend control. Speaking of that blend control, onto the electronics, we have a 3-band preamp, a master volume, and a master blend control, as well as a toggle switch to bypass the preamp. You have a stacked knob here for bass and treble, and then a separate mid control. And unfortunately, there is no passive tone control when the preamp is bypassed, or even a passive tone control at all. So you only have this 3-band preamp, and when you bypass it, this is simply a security measure to make sure you can get through a show without a battery. The bridge is Fender's standard high mass bridge that you see in a lot of their higher end Mexican made basses like this. It's a pretty nice bridge overall. It's reminiscent of the Leo Kwan badass bridge, and you have the Hipshot kick-ass bridge. This is in the same vein overall, and it's a solid bridge. I have no complaints with that. And then moving up to the neck here, this is a really comfortable 34-inch scale maple on maple neck. We have a 38mm nut width, a 12-inch radius, and overall just a very comfortable playing experience thanks to some rolled fret edges. And then moving up to the headstock, we have 4 standard Fender inline tuners. These are just the regular tuners that you would find on any sort of made in Mexico Fender. And you have the Fender logo. Actually, it's a pretty neat logo. It's a vintage inspired logo. And a string tree retaining 2 of the strings, the D string and the G string. And the truss rod adjustment is also up there at the headstock. Not the most ideal spot, but it works pretty well here. Now let's go ahead and turn this bass around. Around back, there's really not a lot to see here, other than the beautiful silver burst finish and the battery boxes, because this is an 18-volt preamp. We also have a standard 4-screw neck attachment here, and this is a standard Fender style neck, meaning that you can swap necks with any other aftermarket Fender neck or a status graphite neck if you have one of those. The neck plate is engraved with the Fender logo, and it also says Player Plus down there, which is a nice touch versus having just a regular silver neck plate, which some other made in Mexico basses do have, which is kind of a shame. And moving up to the neck, we have a maple neck here finished in a satin polyurethane and a skunk stripe going down the middle. A nice little touch. And then moving up to the headstock, we can see the back of these open gear tuners, as well as our serial number indicating that this bass has been made in Mexico. And how much does the Fender Meteora weigh? This particular example comes in at 9.2 pounds. So for a Fender, I would say that's average to below average. I'd say that's pretty well weighted overall. But as we all know, weight doesn't really matter that much if the bass does not balance well. So let's see how our Fender Meteora bass balances. On the lap, we do get a slight bit of neck dive, though I don't feel the neck itself being very heavy overall. I'd probably attribute that to the weird body shape and just the way it sits overall. It's similar to a jazz bass, and I don't think the shape does any favors for this bass over a traditional jazz bass shape. With a strap, this is well balanced overall. I don't feel it tugging on the strap, and it feels pretty good. Same goes for standing up. This is perfectly balanced on a strap. And finally, how much does the Fender Meteora bass cost? This bass comes in at $1,200, and I believe it only comes with a gig bag. That is pretty rough, but we are going to be playing this bass to see if it is going to be worth it for that $1,200. Let's get to it. You all know what you need to do. Go ahead and pinch that like button so my hand will turn back to normal. Thanks. The jack location is kind of funny, so it's just a little quirk about the Fender Meteora. I don't think it really impacts the playing experience, though. Usually you like to have them over here so you can angle it over the strap, but it's down there, so it'll just fall out. At least you can still kind of wrap it over stuff. But anyways. That is the Fender Meteora. And again, this is a joy to play with the rolled fret edges here. A very nice touch for this Fender Meteora bass. As you can see, I have fun with this. The playing experience is great. Overall, the balance isn't bad, especially, you're resting your arm on here. I don't feel it really pushing against my arm. I don't feel the neck sinking. Now, what you've heard is with both pickups engaged. We have both pickups together, the blend control is centered, and our 3-band preamp is centered as well. Let's go ahead and pan over to our neck pickup and check this out by itself and start playing with the preamp. So that was with the preamp centered. Let's start by cutting everything. Why not? Not bad. You can tell at full cut this isn't necessarily an overly heavy-handed preamp, and I think we're going to have a pretty good experience with it overall. Let's start by boosting our bass up to center. What's also nice is the stacked knob. The two knobs aren't really catching one another. That's sometimes a problem with import basses with stacked controls. Sometimes the knobs are a bit too close together and they catch one another when you're turning one. This doesn't have that, which is nice. So bass center, everything else cut. A very nice round tone. Let's boost that a bit more. Let's bring that up to about 50%. Now, with the bass boosted, let's sprinkle on a little bit of treble. Let's have the treble at center with the bass at 50%. Okay, let's take the mids now and bring those up to center with the treble center and the bass boosted 50%. Now, one thing I have to mention here is the mid control, and I've experienced this with multiple Meteoras. The center detent here is just very vague and very mild, and it's really easy to kind of skip over. So, there's center. Very nice. Now let's take the bass down all the way, leaving the treble centered and the mid centered. Let's crank the treble all the way. Let's see what happens. For science or something. Okay, a little too much treble there, but anyways, that is our neck pickup. And now let's pan over to the bridge pickup. We'll center our preamp and let's see how this sounds. Yeah, great sounding bridge pickup here. These Fireball pickups, they're not really, going after the traditional Fender J or P sound. They're kind of their own thing with these humbuckers. I believe they're each wired in series. Correct me if I'm wrong. I believe that's the case. And you could wire up this bypass switch to be a series parallel switch with relative ease. I was tempted to do that. Now with our bridge pickup engaged, let's just play with this mid control. I'm just going to cut the mids entirely, leaving our treble and our bass control centered. And now let's do the opposite. I'm going to boost the mids about 50%. Bass and treble still center. Got a little carried away there. But this mid control is very effective at bringing out just, the mids It works well without being too heavy-handed here, and definitely accentuates the character of these humbuckers. Now, getting to the good stuff, let's center our mid control once more, and center our blend control, having both pickups together. I think we have some great tone here with both pickups engaged. Again, this isn't like a jazz bass tone, and it's not a P bass tone either. It's its own thing, pretty much. But it's not a unique tone, I have to say, and there are some other basses in this tonal space that come in a lot cheaper and are a bit more feature-packed. And we actually have one of them sitting right next to me here. The Sire M5 as well as the M7 come in at, I think it's like $435 for the 4-string, less than this Fender Meteora. And we get an ebony board, 24 frets, a more flexible preamp with a passive tone control as well as a mid-frequency selector, and toggle switches for each pickup to engage either single coil mode, series, or parallel for each pickup. In some ways that might be a little bit overkill, but in my review I mentioned that it was really executed well, and I stand by that. This is an awesome bass, and I think it's worthwhile to do a little side-by-side tone comparison, just with both preamps centered. This is definitely an awesome bass, and for what it does well, but I do wish it had a few different feature sets here to kind of set this apart more, especially from the rest of the Player Plus series, most of which kind of utilize the same preamp, just with different pickups. Anyways, Sire M5 side tangent over, let's play with the preamp a little bit more and cut our mids one more time. Here is the bass and treble centered, mids cut, both pickups engaged. Very nice, very nice. Now let's center everything once more and grab our pick and go through the 3 pickups. Let's just start with the neck pickup, why not? And let's go to the bridge pickup. These pickups definitely pick up the pick. Pick up the pick. Well, let's put that away and give this bass a slap. Not bad, not bad. Now let's go over to the neck pickup. And finally, let's center our blend control once more and throw some drums behind this bass. So here are my final thoughts on our Fender Meteora that we have here today. Overall, I'd say this is a pretty okay bass. I wish it had a few more features for the $11.99 price tag. And considering what the competition is offering from the likes of Sire, Schecter also has similar kind of stuff with their humbuckers. It's a bummer that Fender didn't go the extra step here and just add some coil switching or something neat to do with these Fireball pickups here. In my opinion, I think they're great sounding pickups, though I wish we had a bit more flexibility with them overall. Especially since we're kind of limited here with the 3-band preamp, no passive tone control even when the preamp is bypassed. I wish there was more. That being said though, the overall playing experience in regards to holding the bass, playing the bass, as well as listening to it when I'm playing, is pretty good. I think the bass sounds nice, the neck is nice, the rolled fret edges are also very nice. But what am I going to rate the Fender Meteora bass? I'm going to rate this bass 3 claws out of 5. I have to say that the playing experience overall is really nice, but is it $1,200 nice? That is a lot harder for me to stomach. That being said, these are often on sale. You can find them for around $9.49 or so. And at that price point, it's something I would definitely consider if I'm looking for a double humbucker active bass with not a lot of different controls and something that's fairly simple overall, in my opinion. So yeah, I'd say this is an average value. It plays nicely. I think that's the nicest thing. It plays and sounds great. So anyone who's owning this bass is going to have a good experience. I think that it's built for long-term ownership. I don't think there's really any quirks that are like, oh, this is definitely a deal breaker. There's no hard edges. It's comfortable. You have an 18-volt preamp. You have plenty of kick there. These humbuckers sound great. I mean, there's a lot to like here. So I definitely think overall this is an average value, considering some of the other things that Fender's putting out that I don't think are average values, but you've definitely seen some of those videos. But let me know what you think about the Fender Meteora bass down in the comments below. Well, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, everyone. Be sure to like, subscribe, join our Discord channel, and leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think about the Fender Meteora bass. And as always, until we groove again,